Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for being here today in this very special edition of our Above and Beyond Hangout. Today we will be talking about scaling and internationalizing businesses in a partnership with the Web Summit team that challenged us for a joint event to launch the Collision Conference among the Portuguese ecosystem. So, with no further delay, and to start the conversation, I'd ask Carlos Moedas, the Mayor of Lisbon, Paddy Cosgrave, founder and CEO of the Web Summit, Beatriz Freitas, CEO of Banco Português do Fomento, to join António Dias Martins, Startup Portugal's Executive Director, on the stage.
Hello everybody, thank you very much for coming, and a special thanks to our guests today, Paddy Cosgrave, Beatriz Freitas, Carlos Moedas. It's a great pleasure to have you here and to discuss a little bit with you some important issues regarding the international experience and international missions for our startups and the opportunity for scaling up and going abroad. I will start with Carlos Moedas. Hello. And to try to take the elephant out of the room, Carlos, please tell us if Web Summit in Rio is going to be a threat or an opportunity to Lisbon and to the Portuguese ecosystem.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. For the ones that are not from Lisbon, welcome to Lisbon. And welcome to this great club called Ferroviário, a club that shows a lot of that effort pays off. I mean, there's a great men and women from this club. And straight to the question, and straight to one thing that I really want to tell you. I mean, I was, from the very first moment in Portugal, really on the team at the time that went to see Paddy. And I've been all along, and I am a big fan of the Web Summit. And the Web Summit has been transformational for our country, not just for Lisbon. I mean, we are very lucky to have the Web Summit in Lisbon. The impact over the years of what the Web Summit did and achieved is just very unique and amazing for the city of Lisbon. So the partnership with the Web Summit is a long-term relationship, because this is what I want for the city, is that Lisbon is the capital of innovation of Europe. And to be the capital of innovation of Europe, you need Web Summit. And so that's just straightforward, because people could look at me and say, but does the mayor, I mean, I'm probably the mayor that was more involved with Web Summit even before being a mayor. I was here every year, and I was involved at the European level. And so that's for sure. So what I want from the Web Summit is really to increase our partnership to a next level. And that's what I've been talking with Paddy and Arthur about that. How can we do more? And so one of the things that we're working together, and it's part of one of the big projects that we have for Lisbon, is to look, if I want Lisbon to be the capital of innovation, I need to focus on scale-ups. I need to focus on get companies to another level. And so I had actually a concept that I discussed with Paddy a lot of times when I was a European Commissioner, of getting a unicorn factory in Lisbon. And when I say unicorn factory, it's a metaphor. It's a place where you can get your innovations, and you have a process that gets you to those innovations to be companies, and big companies. I mean, if it's 1 billion or 500 or 200 or 100, I don't care. And for that, I think there's something that I really want the Web Summit to be together with us. Because the Web Summit was the father and mother of somehow the international ecosystem. I was in government in the year 2011. I mean, Portugal, we had a couple of startups. We had a movement of Portuguese startups, but we were not international. We were not in a map. And I think that the Web Summit came and put Portugal on the map of startups in the world. And so it's really lucky of us to have the Web Summit. I think that here we are today not to talk about Web Summit, but Collision, which is a little bit of Web Summit in Canada, in North America. Of course, Web Summit is in Rio, will be probably in other parts of the world, and it's good for them. It's a great business, and I'm very happy for them. What I will always fight as a mayor is that we have here a global platform. And that's what it is. But if this creates these dynamics around the world that people, and I've just crossed two friends that come from outside of Portugal when they came in and they said, where's the event? I mean, I just want this to create a global dynamics, and that Lisbon is the base for that. And so, look, there's no elephant. There's absolutely nothing apart from a great partnership. And I think that I wanted also, because big leaders have also very good people around them. I think that, Paddy, you're super lucky to have someone like Artur. Artur is a great leader, and is a man that knows how to solve problems without creating frictions that sometimes happens in life and when discuss details. But Artur has been amazing, and I think that we have a great relationship. Really, we tell each other what it is. But the commitment of Lisbon with Web Summit is for the long term. So very, very clear for me.
No doubt, Carlos. And we come a long way since the beginning and since Web Summit came here. Do you know that from the 15 companies, the greatest companies in Portugal, 7 are tech-based and unicorns? That is a pattern that put us close to the pattern of United States and far away, in a positive way, from some traditional or more older European countries. So I think we are changing, yes. Paddy, to you. Let me just to finish this topic. Do you still consider that Lisbon is the home of the Web Summit? What can you explain a little bit better this scaling up process of Web Summit, of going to Rio?
Yeah. I mean, I always remember when we first announced that Web Summit was moving to Lisbon. I mean, you can go back on Twitter at the time, and the reaction at that time was, I would say, perplexed or negative if you looked at it. People didn't understand, and it took a few years when people would ask, oh, where is Web Summit? And I'd say, oh, it's in Lisbon. And they'd say, oh, why Lisbon? And then I'd have to start to explain why Lisbon. And I thought this was really going to be a really important city in Europe's kind of startup future. And there were several years, I'm sure people kind of experienced it here, that have traveled around Europe. And now I think, I mean, I could be wrong, maybe the entrepreneurs I'm talking to have their own perspective. I think one of the biggest challenges is actually Lisbon is so hot as a city to move to. I mean, almost every week there's some article from the LA Times or the Los Angeles Mag or New York Times or whoever saying that Lisbon has effectively become the kind of darling, not just of Europe, but it's where California wants to move to. And the rate at which people are moving here and companies has only accelerated over the last 3 years. And that'll create all sorts of kind of challenges. I think they're great challenges to have. But the change over the time we've been here has been kind of pretty unbelievable. Nobody asks me why Lisbon anymore. They just say, oh, Lisbon, my friend has moved to Lisbon. So, yeah, I mean, from our perspective, I'm very inspired by Mobile World Congress or the World Economic Forum. And the model they have pursued over time is they have a global event, an annual event that takes place. And then they run regional events. A number of years ago, we announced that we're doing an event in Tokyo, and I think everybody was very happy, and they thought this would be a great kind of regional event. And then in 2020 we announced we were going to start something in Brazil, and the only 2 cities mentioned were Brasilia and Porto Alegre, and everybody's like, well, that's kind of okay. And then when we announced Rio, I think some people in Portugal were like, oh, fuck, Rio. Lots of people want to go to Rio. But it will always remain, from our perspective, a regional event. And it's an opportunity for us to continue to grow the brand of Web Summit. I think Web Summit is very well known in Europe. It's known among certain groups elsewhere around the world. And the reason we'll do these regional events in Africa and East Asia as well is to increase the participation from these parts of the world that I think are very important. And I think they should be coming to Lisbon in greater numbers.
Great. It's certainly an opportunity for Portuguese startups that with this edition of Web Summit in Rio have an additional motivation to go abroad and to scale up. Beatriz, talking about internationalization, you represent Banco Português de Fomento, one of the biggest fund manager in Portugal, a development bank, let's say. What instruments and programs does BPF, Banco Português de Fomento, have to help Portuguese startups to scale up and to their process of internationalization?
Hi everybody, thank you for the invite. Yes, we are the biggest investment in the VC in Portugal, and we have partnerships with all the VCs, Portuguese VCs and business angels. We have a huge portfolio to launch in the next 2 years. That's why we have a partnership with Startup Portugal, and I am a part of one of the big think tanks that you have about this. We are building for the next semester. I really don't want to announce, but we are building two programs for scale up. I think that is very important, and Portugal has a huge amount. We have 1.3 billion euros to put in capitalization programs. And capitalization programs, I think they have been seen and heard as just capitalization. Just thinking about more mature companies, but that's not the main. That's not only the main purpose of the program. So yes, we begin with the companies that are affected by COVID. So that's our main purpose until today, and that's our program for the first semester. But we are thinking about doing some new programs, and I think they will be announced in Web Summit for startups and for really early stage. Okay. I think that's very important.
We're looking forward to that. Carlos, cities compete with each other for being the best regions for starting up, for entrepreneurship, and for scaling up. We recently saw at your house, the mayor house in Lisbon, Câmara Municipal de Lisboa, a study from Deal Room that puts Madrid and Barcelona in a very good ranking in what relates to European cities that are close to startups and the entrepreneurship ecosystem. How do you think Lisbon can still be a reference when talking about scaling up a business for a startup and for an entrepreneur?
So I think that when you look at a European perspective and look at this competition between cities in Europe, you have to look at what are the ingredients that make that difference. And I think that the difference when you look at the US and the EU, so first macro, is basically the difference of the capacity that the US has to scale up their businesses because their VC funds are bigger, because they have more capital than Europe. So there's a European structural problem that has to be solved at the European level of the quantity and the attraction of capital. And VC has been increasing by 150% in just 1 year in Europe, and that's a very good sign. And in Portugal also, there was a good increase, and we see in these first 3 months more than in 2021. And so that's, I think it's okay. And so that's real. I say that it's the first point that is for all European cities. How can we work with the European Investment Bank, with the development banks, to get more venture capital, but that venture capital is not only public money, it has to be private money. And that's extremely important for any city in Europe. And then cities have to be, today, the place where you have the competition for talent, and I think that Lisbon is very well positioned on that talent base. It's a talent base that exists, that people speak several languages, that they have qualified engineers, we have qualified engineers, we have good level of education, and that's absolutely crucial for Lisbon. And I think that we are very well positioned, even compared, I can say, to Madrid or to other cities, of course, Barcelona or Milan or others, and so that's very good. And then I think that we need processes. I think that what Europe doesn't have sometimes is the process of innovation. And the process of innovation is a very difficult process, and it has to be very disciplined. And that discipline of creating hubs where people follow those processes to become a company and a big company, that's what I want Lisbon to be, and that's where I want the Web Summit also to be part of. And that creation of those processes is what I call these factories. We have a lot of these examples. We have Station F, we had Rocket Internet in Berlin, we have Y Combinator, we have New Lab in New York. And so if you position yourself as a city with something that is comparable, look at the example of Y Combinator, I mean, where you put all the VCs with the companies, and the companies are so good that everybody wants to invest. And so what I want for Lisbon is not just about the Lisbon startups or the Portuguese startups, is to become that hub where people from all over the world come because they want to be here. And people want to be in these different places of the ecosystem. And so that's what I can differentiate myself as a mayor, and a mayor that is pro-innovation, and it's really, for me, one of my priorities, and to create these conditions in the city that are very clear. And the third point is the cities that will position themselves on the fight against climate change. And so that has to be also at the core of the startups of the future. It's already in a lot of countries, but if Lisbon positions itself as the place where startups that really want to change the world with purpose, startups that are dealing with the energy efficiency, with the energy transition, all these aspects that are part of the people that want to change the world. And so if you get those ingredients, people will flow, people will come. And the Web Summit is kind of the first channel. I think that a lot of people I've met that stayed in Lisbon, and I was talking to Paddy the other day about a person that is a friend of his that came because he came to the Web Summit and then he stayed. That's what changes the city. It's a gradual change, and you have to get people here. But then when you get people here through the Web Summit, you have to keep them here. And you know, the last couple of weeks, I had people like from Klarna. They came and they set up their office. Evolution from Sweden. We're working with a lot of other names that I cannot mention because they're not here yet, but they will come. And so that's the role. So this is a very role of a mayor that was the role of a traditional mayor. And then that's why I'm excited. I mean, this year, unfortunately, I cannot go to Collision, but I promise I will go next year. But this year is very difficult for me because I just started, and it was very difficult to make the agenda. But the promise is done that next year I hope that I can focus also myself more on this role to be there in the different spots where we can attract people. And so I think that Collision has that, because Collision also can be this point where people have a contact with Lisbon. So we're sending 40 companies in Margarida and the team to get people to, through Collision, come to Lisbon. So that's the way I see it. Nodes and points and spots, and then we'll try to get people here.
Hello. No doubt, and capital and funding and talent are really two cornerstones and two great important issues for startups when choosing a city and when choosing a country to be at. Paddy, talking about Collision, we started Portugal, and Câmara Municipal de Lisboa are taking this year 40 startups to Collision to exhibit their offers, to connect with investors. Tell us a little bit about Collision. We are launching Collision. How can Collision help these startups, these entrepreneurs to thrive and to grow abroad?
Great question. It is. I mean, it's about half the size of Web Summit. There are more exhibitors at the event than Web Summit. But in terms of participants, it's about half the size. You know, from my point of view, I would hope that any of our events are opportunities for companies to meet customers, the investors, journalists. The mix is somewhat different in that the majority of the attendees are from North America. And for lots of companies scaling out of Portugal, their immediate focus is into Spain or into the rest of Europe. And the United States or Canada is not an immediate part of their roadmap. But depending on the companies, for many of them, North America is a very important market. Whilst there are attendees from everywhere else in the world, from 100 plus countries, the majority of them are from North America, from Canada and the United States. So it's a particularly good opportunity to meet a lot of kind of core groups in that space. And I think, given that I think there's now maybe there's about 44 Portuguese within Web Summit. Slowly but surely they're taking over the company. I think any Portuguese startup is going to be particularly well looked after as well. So it should be a great experience, and it's our first time doing an event in Canada because of the way the dates worked with the pandemic since 2019. So a lot of people are just very excited to get back.
Great. Beatriz, as an investor, what recommendations, what suggestions would you give to an entrepreneur or a startup that wants to address a new capital partner in an international conference like Collision?
I think I will give the same suggestions that I give to my team. It's very important to prepare themselves, to know the program, to follow a sequence, to know who is going to be there, to know the investors, to know where the investors want to invest, because it's very important. We, for BPF, have funds to founding several types of investments. So you have to know the investors. You have to know all the startups that are around you, so in terms your concurrents. But you really need to prepare yourselves. It's very important when you go to an event like Web Summit or Collision to know what is going to happen. Who is going to talk, to address the talks that you really feel that you need to be, because it's not just about investment. I think startups also go to these events to learn, and the network is very important. So prepare, because you spend a lot of money, and to go to these to Web Summit, to Collision, or go to Rio next year or whatever, it's an investment. It's part of the investment that you do in your startup. So it's very important to take something from that.
No doubt. We ourselves at Startup Portugal spend months preparing the startups that we take to the Web Summit at our Road to Web Summit program. For those 3 days at the Web Summit, we spend months preparing them. So prepare. What an excellent advice. Carlos, from your previous experience in European Commission, what competitive advantages do you think Portuguese entrepreneurs have when comparing with entrepreneurs from other countries? How did you saw them from outside when you were at these important tasks in the European Commission?
It's a very difficult question to answer because I think there's nothing. A lot of people use these excuses of like, oh, this cultural, and or this country has less entrepreneurs because culturally it's different from others. I don't believe on that. There's incentives, and incentives create the ecosystem for things to happen. And I think that for a long time, Portugal, when I was born and 20 years ago, there was no incentives to be an entrepreneur. It was always against it. I mean, your parents would like you to go to a big company or work for the state. All the system is very difficult. And so there was a transformation that was absolutely fantastic in this country to change the mindset of young people to become entrepreneurs. And I think that was extremely unique, and compared to other countries in Europe, I think that we did an amazing job. Still, I think there's 2 points. One, there's a positive point about the Portuguese entrepreneurs. They are very agile, they are very creative, and that's very good compared to other countries, let's say. But then the preparation, the process, the pain, they sometimes are not yet there. And that's why I come back to this point of the process, that innovation is a process. And so that is something that we have to work much more. And I'm happy that you were both saying, you were talking about preparation. You said we take so much time preparing for the pitch to look an improvisation. Prepare for others think that you're just thinking that on that moment, but no, you did prepare a lot. And that preparation is a preparation when you go to the Road to Web Summit, but it's also the preparation every day of a company to be in a world that you have to prepare everything. You have to see what are your contacts on the VC world, what do you say to them, how do you connect to them, where do you find the best people, and where you get this drive to work every day to get the company going. And I think that looking to Portuguese entrepreneurs, I see a huge potential, because the difficult thing that you have it or you don't, which is creativity, agility. Portuguese entrepreneurs, to my view, they have it. It's kind of a little bit of our DNA as Portuguese, to find solutions where we have to improvise those solutions and we get around that. But at the same time, we have to work as a country and as Lisbon also a lot on that process. And I think that the Web Summit, and it was very interesting from the very beginning when I came for the first edition, you could see that for the first time, the role also of the Web Summit was that people, the first time they went and they thought, oh, I'm just here and it's great. But then they understood that it was not just go there, and it's not just because you wear a T-shirt that you're cool. And no, there's a lot. I mean, it works a lot. I mean, it works a lot. It's very hard. Paddy's life is very hard. But so there's a lot of work behind all these things. And so that was there was also a role of educating the ecosystem. And so then the other point that it's very important for us is to relocate VCs in Portugal. That VCs, all that people from VCs come and they are at ease in our country, and they understand that we have difficulties, but also other countries have difficulties. That we have bureaucracy, but other countries have also bureaucracy. And so then you can get things going.
Paddy, same question to you. I ask you for a quick answer because then we will have some time for one or two questions from the audience and from at home. You connect with startups and entrepreneurs all over the world. Do you see something that distinguishes Portuguese-based startups and entrepreneurs? Do you think that they can do better in some aspects when comparing to the others?
Humility? Does that make sense? I think Portuguese people are probably too humble. Because I'll sit in these conversations sometimes at dinners, and there'll be a young Portuguese startup, some American investors, and the American investors are like, tell me about your startup. It's like, oh, we're very lucky. We've got a little team. We're making some progress. And the American investors are like, God, is this Portuguese guy depressed? Or girl, it cuts both ways, I mean, so I think there's historically an awful lot of humility and always understating the success that sometimes can be culturally, I think, misinterpreted. But I quite like it, to be honest. I quite like it. So that's my primary observation, but I think it's changing an awful lot because of the contribution of the guys from Beta I, from the example. I think that a lot of Nuno, Sebastião, a lot of the example that a lot of entrepreneurs have set over the last decade, I think, has created a roadmap for others and has also created a network. I will say, the preparation for Web Summit is incredibly important, and I also think that the successful entrepreneurs, execs within Portugal and working for companies around the world are a powerful network now for a younger startup that's looking to meet a particular investor. Oftentimes, some of the more successful Portuguese startups are going to know these people, and you can just ask for an introduction. And there's a great culture, I think, of giving back and helping the next generation. Yep.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you very much for your participation, your availability. It was a real pleasure to have you here and very interesting and useful insights. Thank you all for listening also, and back to you, Patricia. Thank you.
Sorry. And for the grand finale show, we will be in Toronto for the Collision Conference with 40 startups, as António said. We're taking around 70 startups in this business abroad. And in this next slot, we'll be listening to the pitches of 3 startups that will participate in this year's expanding initiatives. So, now I want to call Tiago Oliveira from Vawlt to pitch his startup. He will be at Hannover Messe this year. Good luck, Tiago.
I don't know if this is working. It is. Nice. It's working. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. So, my name is Tiago Oliveira. I am co-founder and CTO of Vawlt, which is a solution that simplifies and secures data storage in multi-cloud and hybrid cloud environments. So, what is Vawlt? Vawlt is a fully software-based solution, which means no specific hardware is required to run it. It is straightforward end-to-end, allowing even non-tech people to configure it and use it, and it is built with data protection in mind. Vawlt technology, Vawlt multi-cloud technology, ensures that all the data can be migrated along all the clouds, okay? So, based on that, our greater value is threefold. First comes the simplicity. Multi-cloud management can be very, very complex, and we turn it very simple, and it is very easy to integrate it with existing and new applications. Second, we optimize the storage, the cost of using multi-cloud storage to store the data, and we also optimize the usage of the resources themselves through our tailored data volumes. Finally, the base of Vawlt is security. Security, we ensure that only the owner of the data has access to the data, and we ensure it brings this new concept of cloud scale fault tolerance, which means that even if a subset of the providers are down or compromised, we are still able to recover the user's data. This means that we do not depend on any single provider to store the data. So, after all, how does this work in practice? Every file placed inside our software agent is automatically encrypted. Then, every encrypted file is broken into several redundant segments, and then each one of those segments are sent directly to a different storage medium, okay, without going through our platform. These storage mediums can be a public cloud, either managed by us or managed by our clients, can be a private cloud, can be an on-prem node, just like a local server, or even a blockchain endpoint, okay? To recover the data, any combination of 2 segments are enough. And as I said before, these, even if one of the clouds are compromised, we will be able to recover the user's data, okay? Furthermore, our software agent comes with ransomware protection built in, which is very important because it's one of the most common attacks nowadays. So, just to wrap up, Vawlt main benefits are about data protection, about independency. We does not need to trust a single provider to store and access our data. It's about cost control and performance optimization. Thank you.
I have a question for you. So, what are you looking for at Hannover Messe this year?
As the guys before said, I'm looking for making the connections to showcase our product to the industry, to get feedback, and most important of all, to learn. This is to a startup in a very early stage, as we are at. It's very important to learn.
Okay, thank you, Tiago.
Thank you.
So now, directly from REATIA, I call Hugo Venâncio, the founder of REATIA, who will participate in this year's SOT Summit.
Okay. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Hugo Venâncio, and I'm the founder and CEO of REATIA. Imagine a world of chaos, where data is everywhere. Millions of sources, data, different data to explain and show the same thing. The biggest question that we have to do is how to take out the best information from chaos. It's really difficult. So we have a big problem. Data is everywhere. We have millions of data sources all over the internet. We have duplicated. We have outdated information. And of course, that leads to misinformation, time-consuming decision-making, and of course, the worst of scenarios, slower deals. And this is the reality in real estate. We have seen that real estate companies and also companies that work with the real estate data are pursuing digital investment. And their focus are, at least for the last years and for the upcoming years, on improved efficiency and enhanced decision making. And this is where REATIA comes as a solution. So, using AI, we collect information across thousands of different sources every day to create the cleanest and the most complete database of the world. We use proprietary technology to turn this information into knowledge. So, using AI, we create different applications for different kinds of clients. So, for example, I bring you three. The meta search, where we use AI to deduplicate information of the listings. We deliver live analytics. We deliver to our clients the trends of what is happening at the second on the real estate market, and property valuation, where our clients use the biggest database in Europe. So we have the problem, but what our clients gain using REATIA is real update information, decisions supported by real knowledge, and the best of scenarios, faster and better deals. So let's make a quick example. You are a real estate broker, or you work on a bank or asset manager or whatever, and you need to do a diligence regarding this property. After several hours Googling, you found out that this property is being sold by 4 different agencies. Hours and hours of searching online. But if you are a REATIA user and using our technology, computer vision, NLP, and so on, you can, in 2 seconds and a couple of clicks, receive this. So this is a global overview of the market. This property is not being sold by 4 different real estate agencies, but by 12, and with a price range of 12 to 13 million euros. This is the power that REATIA brings to our clients. So we are giving professionals the power of live and transparent data. Regarding REATIA, so we started our company 3 years ago, and we have over 10,000 clients using REATIA every single day. And we are now present in 3 countries. We are started in Portugal, we are also in Spain, and started this month in France. This is where we are, and there is where we want to be. We know what we are doing, and we believe that clean data and transparent database is essential for real estate market. So we are leaders here in Portugal. We are starting to be leaders in Spain, and for sure, we believe that our main goal and our purpose is also to be a reference in Europe. So we are bringing clean data to Europe.
Thank you, Hugo. So, what are you expecting for South Summit this year?
So, we are expecting to make a lot of connections with several kinds of entities, because it's important for us to be right in the middle of the environment, mostly where we are not as usual. So, yeah, connect, try to show to some entities what we are doing, and move faster our business. So, be faster and better.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And now for the next speech, I would call Marta Pinto. She is the CEO and founder of Onecare, and she's from Coimbra.
Hello everyone, my name is Marta, I'm a biomedical engineer and I'm CEO of Onecare. I'm really proud to be here today and proud to show what we are doing. World population is aging faster. You all know that there is a lack of entities and human resources to support elderly people. We know that nowadays, and even more with COVID-19 pandemic, people wish to stay even more at home and in the community. However, they don't have the right support to be at home, and they neglect the chronic disease management, performing the basic daily tasks. They contribute to their quality of life. Informal care companies like home care services struggle to achieve reasonable retention rates to their human resources to respond to the increasing demand of requests to support elderly people. So, with this in mind, we created Onecare Solution. Onecare Solution aims to help home care services to provide the right tools to their customers, elderly people, and help their staff to perform a better care with the help, of course, of technology. So, it consists of an integrated and modular monitoring platform that delivers personalized care by using artificial intelligence algorithms and gamification techniques to engage the users and to deliver individual plans according to historical data and expected outcomes to the caregivers without they being specialized in cognitive or health and clinical practice. We also are agnostic, hardware agnostic, and have interoperability that allow us to easily integrate to third parties. We are happy to help more than 10 home care services last year to reach 450 senior users that can be closer to their caregivers, family members, and friends at home. As I mentioned, majority of our customers are in fact home care services, but we are working with major insurance companies in Portugal to help them to prevent hospitalizations and to help people to recover from surgeries at home. We, since the beginning, work with very well-known universities and research and development centers to help to develop our solution and, of course, validate it. We also belong to some relevant clusters that are helping nowadays to go abroad with the right partners and the right customers, and it is very good to be at these clusters. So, what are our benefits? What we deliver to the caregivers and home care services? We increased, in average, 50% the number of senior people supported by these companies that typically have traditional care models and do not know how to innovate their business, but they have a lot of problems to reach all the requests, as I mentioned before. And we had an impact of their revenues in 20%. So, what about the impact on end users? This is the most, by far, the most rewarding part, and end users recognize our solution is very easy to use. It is the most difficult part to develop solutions for elderly people, and they say, Onecare is my best company. Playing games and being in contact with friends and family makes me feel alive and active. We have already measured the impact on their quality of life, and they report more than 30% of perceived quality of life improved. Now we are beginning our internationalization to United Kingdom, where we have established important and solid partnerships with scientific partners that help us to design a clinical trial to help us to validate the same benefits we are having in Portugal to the UK market. And we are going to be in Vivatech, also preparing our launch to French market, as Germany, French, and Belgium are in the forefront for implementing reimbursement models for digital health solutions that we believe it could be a great opportunity for us to be more close to our customers and reach more people. Thank you.
Thank you. So, what are your expectations for Vivatech this year and in the French market?
Expectations for Vivatech is clear, identify the right partners for us to prepare the launch of Onecare next year in France. We have a lot of pains getting to UK market. This was overcome with the help of IT Health. So we see as Vivatech as a great opportunity with preparation and time to prepare a successful launch of Onecare in French market.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So now for the last round, we're going to talk with Carolina Amorim from EMOTAI, Dulce Guarda from Splink, and Miguel Alves Ribeiro from Shirme, to talk a little bit about what Collision will bring this year and some expectations and suggestions. Hello.
Hello.
So,
Hi.
Hello.
hello. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
So first I wanted to ask you all to pitch your company in 2 minutes, can you, or less?
Sure. I can start. Hi, I'm Carolina. I'm the co-founder and CEO at EMOTAI. EMOTAI boosts human performance using neurotechnology. We developed a headband, a headpiece, that measures your brainwaves, heart rate, and body movements so we can understand how you're feeling. And based on this information, we can tell how you can improve your performance. So we can tell if you're focused, stressed, and then we provide you exercises that help you improve. And we started in the professional athletes market. So we've worked with esports teams. We then also started working with motorsports teams from Formula 1 to Formula E. And now we are bringing this technology into the workplace market. We've done several pilots, we have several papers published, but overall we can help in the workplace reduce anxiety by 33%, reduce the risk of burnout by 20%, and we can help increase sleep quality and productivity by 56%, all of this in just 2 weeks. So if you're interested for your company, let me know.
I want to know more. Hello, my name is Dulce. I'm one of the founders and CGO of Splink. You might know us as MyLads, so previous MyLads, now we just changed the name. And we do collectibles. In this case, they are mini jerseys with all the details from the football clubs, and they are connected with AR technology, so we can get the users to see and to enjoy exclusive experiences like visiting all the private areas of the stadium, taking pictures with the players, so everything that the fans love to do with their teams, we can help them achieve that by using AR technology connected to our collectibles. Behind what we are doing, of course, is reading all the data, so we can understand the consumer behind it, the behavior, because the clubs, they only know, for the paying memberships, they only know the name, email, date of birth, and they don't do a lot even with those data. So we are understanding all in terms of how much time do they spend with each player, which player do they prefer to take pictures, for instance, the most, inside the stadium, which areas do they prefer, where are they looking at? They are looking at the sky when they are, for instance, looking at the pitch of AR, or they are looking at the grass, the seats, so we can, of course, then install advertising pixels, for instance. So basically this is it. So right now we are with already a lot of international clubs and all the national teams here in Portugal, and we are starting to develop this technology also for other sports market.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah. Okay, Miguel.
So thank you for inviting me. My name is Miguel Ribeiro. I'm founder and CEO of Shirme. Shirme is a booking and payment platform for beauty and wellness services based with the Vawlt ecosystem. The Vawlt ecosystem has 3 verticals of business. Cashback system, so each time that you book, you get cashback back in the wallet. You have a vertical of brand top-ups, so we have brands that top up the wallet for our community, like Unibanco. We have a partnership with Glovo, MBWay, so and other companies. And right now we're launching an employee benefit platform because we were challenged. Someone asked us, why can a company have a meal allowance but can't have a wellness allowance? So along the same lines as over there, the other startup, we're going also in those lines, trying to help people take better care of themselves and always have money in their wallet and continue to do that. So
Okay.
that's about it.
Thank you, Miguel. So I actually wanted to start with you. You recently expanded to Spain and Brazil with Share Me. What do you feel are the greatest pain points for a startup in a growth stage?
So we haven't launched Spain yet. We launched Brazil,
Okay.
and we're still figuring it out. I think the biggest challenge, we don't have a lot of challenges because we've done this before. In prior projects, we've launched 13 different markets, so it's easier for us. But the biggest challenges that we have is cultural differences, because I think we are a marketplace, so we deal with a lot of people, with communities, so that is the biggest difference that we have. Also, or the difficulty that we have. Also, the second thing that right now we're facing that problem is bureaucracy in opening the company in different markets, and then as we receive payments, we also have to do bank transfers from one country to the other. So those are the bureaucracies that we are feeling today. The limitation, we're going global, but there are still some organizations that are still very local, and that brings some challenges that we have to overcome, but that's the biggest problems that we're facing at this point.
How do you feel that conferences like this or networking can help you pass through these kinds of challenges?
So I think they're key. So a Portuguese entrepreneur or startup, when it starts in Portugal, the first thing that we have in mind is how can we expand and go global. So having these conferences and having access to other markets and other influencers, mentors and all that can open a lot of doors. And even they can tell us different ways to run our business or to try out what we haven't thought before. So I think it opens a lot of doors. It exposes Portugal, that is very small, to a huge audience, and I think that's key for us.
Okay. Dulce, your startup got a 7.6, did I say it right? million euro fund round last year. So what are your goals for this year? At what point is Splink right now? You recently changed your brand too. Can you explain us a bit?
Sure. So the investment round, of course, made a lot of difference, especially because we are in a market where we need to always make an official partnership with the clubs. So we have to pay the licensee fee, and of course, in order to work with the best, we need to pay more, a little bit more. So we need all the money also for that first step. And of course, then entering the market, getting all the customer to get to know the product, because every time that we open a new market, it's always a new challenge, like Miguel was saying. Right now, since we are growing a lot in terms of international countries, so in Portugal we have the 3 big ones and the Portuguese Federation. Because of the World Cup this year, we are focusing a lot on getting the national teams, so that's why we are going abroad a lot. And then, of course, one of the major markets for us is the Premier League, because it's one of the markets that spends the most in terms of collectibles. And in terms of the audience, they are already educated in terms of augmented reality, which here in Portugal it's still something pretty new, and people don't know a lot. What do I do with this? So how can I play with it? So people don't know a lot what to do with AR. So the Premier League was a huge market, and that's why one of the reasons that we changed our name from My Lads to Splink, because if you are familiar with the term lads, it's more related with guys, hey lad. And a lot of the teams in the UK and also USA, they want us to implement our product also for the female teams, and lad wouldn't be possible. So we wanted to have a more gender neutral name. That's why we went to Splink. That stands for Sports Link, because that's actually what we do. And so right now, this is what we are doing. So we are really growing. In order to do that as well, we need to grow the team. We needed to focus on the AR part, on the technology part. That's the core business for us. And right now we are getting a lot of attention, especially in the UK market, because we are doing that effort to get there.
Okay, so the North American market is also important for you. So what are you expecting of Collision this year?
Yeah, so Collision, it's one of the major conferences for us to be, because like I mentioned, not only UK but also USA. So the USA national team for football, they are interested in working with us. So this is one of the steps to get us closer to the USA market through the Collision. And also we got approached for NBA, and NBA, it's going to be a big contract for us. And in order to get NBA, we need to do all the teams, because they manage all the teams collectively. And I think Collision will be a very interesting step for us to be there, to get people to get aware of who we are, what we are doing, which teams we are already working with. I think Collision is going to be very interesting for us.
Okay, and now Carolina, you were in the last edition of Collision, the one that happened in person, like in real life, as we miss so much. So what was your major takeaway from the conference, and what difference do you think it made for EMOTAI's growth?
So in terms of takeaway, I noticed, first of all, it's a little bit smaller than Web Summit, which can also be nice. There's less people, sometimes there's a little bit less noise, it's easier to spread the word about your company. But one of the things that we learned the most was there were some investors there that was very specific to esports. So we found a lot of investors there, specifically in the US and Canada, that were specific to esports, and we learned a lot from them. We learned that maybe starting with professional teams wasn't the right place. Maybe we should start with the collegiate teams. So just like you have like the baseball teams are there for the universities only, you have the same for esports only, and they have funding and things like that, they have sponsors, so maybe it would make more sense to be like a step up and start with these smaller teams. So that's something that was very valuable to us, and we did end up working with some of those teams that we managed to meet there. So it was a very nice difference from Europe and Portugal specifically, where esports teams are quite small in comparison, especially in terms of budget. So it was very interesting to learn that side on the US and Canada, of course, because they had them as well.
Okay, okay. And now for the three of you, I want to ask, like, if you are being a startup that is scaling and growing, what tips do you have for other founders who are or are going to be in the same process in the future? Can you start?
Yes, I can. So I think it's always difficult to be an entrepreneur, and especially with times that are today, wars and COVID and all that. I think you have to be very, very resilient and grab onto all these opportunities that we have to talk to more people and expose our product to more people and all that. And it's especially harder today to, thank you. It's especially harder today to get face-to-face with investors. I think it's great for us to do Zooms, and we do Zoom with everyone and Hangouts and all that, but I really do believe that it's completely different when you do it face-to-face. So getting into these kinds of events, exposing yourself, going after the right investors, I think it's key for us to grow and scale faster, because we need money or we need gas in the tank so we can push on the pedal faster. So I think that's one of the things that we need to scale faster. And the other thing is that also we get a lot of advice, a lot of other perspective of our business from different geographies that also are very important for us. Because sometimes we're limited to Europe or to the markets that we're looking into, and a different perspective from someone that has a bigger market, more experience, or a different way of seeing, I think is always a great value add.
Okay.
Well, adding to what Miguel is saying, I think two things are very important in order to scale up. Focus So don't get too excited about starting to get a lot of different areas, different brands, or different. Focus on the markets that you want to target, because you need to be a leader or a specialist in that market in order then for the other markets to start coming to you. So I think focus is very important, and also having a really good team. Because when you are scaling, it's important to have a team that you can trust, that will deliver. Even when we are in conferences, they are still here working. And I think those two are really huge milestones for a startup that is growing. Relating with this conference, you can find these things also on the conferences. Sometimes there are people that are looking for new jobs, so you can attract these special people for specific jobs, roles that you are looking for, and also in terms of focusing, because for Carolina was saying, in Collision especially, because it's a smaller event, I do like this a part of being a smaller event, because you can target more specifically the things that you are looking for, and investors that come to you in a specific niche. So I think that's very important, and we can use for our advantages these 2 points in a conference.
Okay. Carolina?
I would say probably two things. The first one is to try and keep the good things about the culture that you have. So when you're scaling, your team is probably going to get bigger, and we are in the process of doing that. We're hiring, and we didn't want to lose that magic that we have inside of EMOTAI, so we decided to write it down, and basically the founders just got together for like 2 hours, and we defined what the culture is going to be, and we have it written down, and it's now part of the onboarding process, because we think it's important for the new employees to know what are the values of the company and what us as a team really value in either employees or as collaborators, because we're basically a team. We're united. We're all working towards the same goal. So what is this goal, and how are we going to get there? So that I would recommend to do, and you can do it even very early on. I think it's a very nice exercise you can do with the founders. And the second one, which is related to that one as well, is to not forget what is the vision of the company, which that has a tendency of happening, especially when you're scaling to other countries. People always have a tendency of giving an opinion on what you should do differently or what you should change in the startup, but you need to also remember what is the vision that you have for the startup. Of course, pay attention to your customers, your users, those are the important ones. Outside of that, just remember what is the goal that you have with it and work towards it.
Thank you. Okay, so now it's time to open for some questions. Does anyone in the room have questions for our founders? Oh, wow.
Shy.
We were very clear.
I don't know if it's... Are you being shy, or do you really want a beer? I don't know. Not sure. Okay, so no questions? Okay, so...
You can add us on LinkedIn and then
yes, we can talk upstairs then. Okay. So thank you so much to you guys for being here today in this special edition. I also want to thank everyone who's at home or at the office watching us, and to everyone, to our last panel and the startups that were pitching here today. And please meet us upstairs now for a drink. I want to remind you that our next Hangout will be not on a Wednesday but on a Thursday. Okay, so in the last Thursday of June, and we'll talk a little bit about blue economy. Okay, so stay tuned to know more about this next edition. Okay, thank you.